Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are breaking down our picks for the top 5 and one worst level 6 bard spells. Yay! Uh,
Love bards. Bards are great.
but this was not a
There's
particularly robust list.
yeah. I actually don't think it's like comparatively that awful, at least. Like I don't think
Oh,
most of these are offensive, which is nice to see. I would be happy with about 5 of these on my character sheet, as it turns
well,
out. So that's convenient.
because we're doing top 5 out of 8.
Yeah. There are not many. And then we'll be talking about at least 6 of them because we have to have a worst as well. Uh, this is a really important moment to mention. Bards have a really important feature. Magical secrets. Magical secrets lets you take spells from anyone's spell list. So these may not appeal to you, and that's okay. So I think one of them probably should because it's an amazing bard spell. But the rest of them, and when I say amazing bard spell, it's an amazing bard spell, not necessarily amazing in its own right. It's great. I love it. We'll get to it. But there are powerful 6th level effects out there that I'll touch on at the end of this video, like I did the 5th levels, where it's like, hey, if none of these seem great, consider your magical secret options. They're really important. They are a way to get access to some game warping, game breaking stuff. I'll touch on them whenever we get there, but it's a pretty big pillar of what makes bards bard. So like, have that in mind whenever you're thinking about, well, this isn't the most exciting thing in the world, or I don't really like, I want something that does more damage or has a bigger impact. You can get those through magical secrets. These are going to be for doing the traditionally bardic stuff.
All right. Well, and more importantly, these these list videos we're doing are just covering the class list spells.
Yes.
So yeah, there are other ways to get other spells in a lot of the videos that that's what we're doing in these videos. These are the rules as have been laid down by me.
Correct.
All right. Caveat time. I don't rank mine in any particular order. I just pick top 5 and one worst in whatever order, except for
I do 1 to 5 plus
yes.
worst.
All right. And bard spell caveat.
They're known casters. They have like 10 known spells to their name. At the time you get 6th level spells, you're an 11th level character. Yes, which means you have 15 known spells in total, including the one you learn this level. So you can sub out older ones. So if you want like 2 6th level spells, you can forget a 4th or a 3rd to get a 6th level here. But like you're not getting a ton of options. So you're gonna need to be, again, remember that your magical secrets is a big important feature that gives you access to any spells you want, and that these are going to be the supporting cast that you don't have a ton of that gets you to do whatever you want your bard to do, and you have to be ready to rely on these as being good.
All right. I guess I'll kick things off this time.
Do it.
Let me dig up my list. Nope, that's not it. Here it is. I picked Irresistible Dance.
My number 1.
Is your number 1? Is that the one you were referring to before?
Yep.
All right. Well, why did it make number 1 on your list?
Okay, first and foremost, this is a bard wizard spell, and it has no business, none, zero business being a wizard
We've
spell.
heard that. I feel like we've heard this before.
It's stupid that this spell's a wizard spell. This is so bardy in every way, shape, or form. They're the performer class. They should make things irresistibly dance and be the only people able to make things irresistibly dance. It's dumb. I hate it. Take this away from wizards. They don't deserve it anymore. Anyway, beyond that, irresistible dance is a really important effect is that it is a save or die with no save. It's just die. So you pick something, that thing is going to dance. There's no countermeasure they can take. They are dancing no matter what. That target then, at the end of their turn, can make the saves, but this does something really important in that it gets around legendary resistance. If you've got an ancient dragon, if you've got a lich, if you've got some big bad, and you're like, I would love for you to not move, irresistible dance will make that happen. It's a kind of effect that you're going to be comfortable having on your sheet. It does everything you'd like it to do, including imposing disadvantage on their attack rolls. It makes them a disadvantage on dex saving throws, and then they cannot save to get it to prevent it at all. They can save on the end of their turn, but you're getting at least 1 round of this, and that's definitely good enough to have against the monsters that you absolutely need it on.
Yeah, that's and if you're going against something tough enough and you think you're gonna die, at least you can, make them suffer some indignity before you go. So that's fun. But really, I wonder, this feels like something you really care about initiative with. Like, if
Yeah,
you can go first in initiative, you know, irresistible dance, the biggest threat, and give everybody else on your team, advantages to an attack it, then that's a good place to start.
agreed. It only having disadvantage on its attack rolls for like if it goes immediately after you is a bit of like a, oh, well, I mean, this didn't do as much as we'd like. But if you go as the bard immediately after the big bad, for example, let's say the big bad gets like a 25 on their initiative, and you go immediately after that, then every one of your party members is going between you and it again, and they all get advantage on all of their attack rolls. So like the fighter makes it a 4 or 5 with advantage. The monk makes like 12 with advantage, right? You get a bunch of people just can lay into it and have a good time weaponize that advantage while simultaneously having a defensive like, well, you also have disadvantage on your attack rolls. Huzzah! And they're dancing hilariously, which is just like, there's something deeply funny to me about, dramatic big lich moment, and it steps out, holds off its skull capped staff with horns poking out of it and yells some profanity at you, and then you go, actually dance, and then it just like breaks it down. I think that's funny. I love that. It takes the tension, just
Absolutely.
psychs it all out of the environment. It's great.
All right. Well, what's your number two?
Mass suggestion. God, I love mass suggestion. Did it make
Made
yours?
my list. Yes.
There are only 8 of them after all.
This is
This
going to be the
is
opposite of our level 5 spells.
where we only had 2 overlap. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
brutal. So this is 12 uses of suggestion in a trench coat, but it's only a 6 level slot, and it lasts 24 hours with no concentration. And removing the concentration effect is great from the suggestion. It makes it a lot easier to just like get out into the world and use it effectively. And as I said when I talked about suggestion, basically every time, it is one of the spells that I am most readily able to cast at any given moment during a campaign. Whenever there's any kind of creature I can suggest, often suggestion will be an option. I'll be like, oh, I can use this right now to solve part of the problems we're having, to have a contributing factor that plays into the larger scope of, finding success in this dungeon or setting up this encounter or navigating the social environment. It's really, really usable. Now, multiplying it by 12 isn't like the number of creatures that it affects doesn't really like multiply its utility by 12. I think a lot of characters that have suggestion may not also feel they need mass suggestion. There can still be windows where this is okay, the cronies are all not fighting with their boss and they're getting out of here, and then it's just you and the boss and you've used it as a tool to sort of dissipate some extra bruisers or whatever. This can be a tool that everyone, I need everyone in this room right now to get up and leave, and then you can have a big intimidating presence moment. That's pretty cute. But like realistically, 3 or 4 creatures is probably as many as this is going to need to affect to be that much better than suggestion. Maybe it could maybe not be worth the 6th level slot, but I think I will readily find an abundance of times to cast this. I've seen this cast probably about 3 times in my life. But that was on one character that had taken it. I have not seen a character take it since, but I do think it's quite good, and that you can get a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about it in combat, which I think is fantastic. I know you seemed not too excited about that, but the use that you mentioned, I feel is amazing. We get
It's great use.
a bunch of
Absolutely.
yeah, right, a bunch of people leave, so you can focus on the big bad. But I'm thinking about it as a bard, and the first thing that came to my mind was, you're playing for you're on the street corner, you got a little cup for their coins, and you say, "Give me all your money."
I suggest you put all your money into my guitar case
Yes,
and leave.
exactly. But you
uh,
sing it.
yep. Yeah, yes. I suggest you give me all your money and leave. Absolutely. Listen, I love that your viewpoint of bards is like the 6th level, the bard that has 6th level spell slots is still out on the streets begging for coin. I love that's where you're at on your bards. And listen, I definitely think that there will be a non-zero amount of bards where that would end up being the case, just because, being an irresponsible bard will get you places you don't want to necessarily be. But it's cute. It's fun. I think this is iconically bardic to me. This is right in Bard's wheelhouse. Something I'd expect them to be able to do. Whereas like warlocks do it in a really malicious, mind-altering, like control-y way. Bards feel like they're just so darn persuasive. Is how it kind of feels, and it's what I really love about it as on the bard specific character sheets.
Yeah, or I mean, it doesn't have to be begging for money on the street corner. You could
Yes, there are
be
other uses.
yeah, but you could be on the stage in a tavern or something, and you just some guy that's been looking for you comes in through the door, and I suggest you all, go tackle that guy, and then you make your escape.
Again, the action still has to sound reasonable, but maybe that does sound reasonable, right? Maybe they're really
Well, I
into it.
mean,
They
you
don't
make
want
it.
they don't want the bad vibes, so get them.
You make it like, that's Elvis. Go get his autograph.
Oh, perfect, even
They
better.
they
That
mob
actually
him.
is really
Yeah.
fun. And then you just take, a quiet exit while the police are like, get him, get nose, get off me, him. And they're like, dude, that sounds amazing. I love that scene.
See? All right, mass suggestion. Good one.
It's great. It's a super fun spell. Yeah, it's good. Would recommend. What's your next one?
All right, we are 2 for 2. And in order, too. I mean, I didn't intentionally order mine, but this is the order that I wrote them down in.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. My next one, also thinking as a bard, Programmed Illusion.
That's my number 5.
Number 5.
These
All right. Well,
these last 3 are kind of like nebulous. They're the ones where I would say, do I need this? And if the answer was like, am I playing that kind of character? And the Illusionist Bard might need this. So why is Programmed Illusion up here for you?
because bard, and I'm thinking about like stage effects and stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Conceivably.
Hmm.
Prestidigitation could too. Sparklers.
2 minor things. Now I'm talking about like light show and backup dancers or something, and
Mhm.
I don't know, a whole slew of things. Or
This is something where I think as a DM,
doesn't this have like a permanence thing where you can it
it's until the
activates
spell.
on condition, right? Yeah. So and it activates on conditions that you set up, right?
And it can last
You
up to
can
5
have
minutes each.
yeah, so you got a whole set of these on your stage,
Mhm.
and during the show, like one thing leads to another thing, and you keep having these broader and bigger effects happening to this crescendo of light. It's yeah, I'm
It,
putting on a good show.
if you're a player that really adores figuring out your characters, like the nitty gritty of their aesthetic, what they're about, what they look like, if you've got a Pinterest board with all kinds of art that relates to them, if you've got a color board and some song lists going around, and you've got a backstory all drafted up, it's like 15 pages of your DM definitely totally read all of, like, this could be a really fun way for you to take it one extra mile and show it off in play, where you go, okay, we've got a week of downtime, great. DM, here's the spell expansion, this is the cost of these, this is what I'm doing with them, and then you can just like create your own actual set bard show. It could be really cool using programmed illusions. I think that's really cute. It's definitely more on the cute side than it is on the practical side, though, as I think the other major uses of this, I'm always just like, but what if you cast Major Image? How much worse is Major Image than this? I think the answer is not that much worse, if that much worse at all. The flexibility of being able to pop down a Major Image whenever you'd like and have it just work for a much cheaper spell slot, like, half the spell level is a big deal. Still, there can be some nice things on this occurring without necessarily being that perceivable, right? Like, you can cast this off screen, if you will, re-enter an environment or a chat or whatever, and then you can have the program illusion take effect somewhere. That all can be a pretty meaningful way to navigate socially, to intimidate, to do illusion magic in its typically powerful way. I don't know if it's like 6th level powerful, but it's interesting at the very minimum. I do think it's pretty unique, as least as a duration base goes. Major Image does upcast to go indefinite as well, but that's way more expensive, at least. The indefinite durations on Major Image does tend to be like, you have to commit a lot to this.
Yeah, I feel like this one's got more practical uses than what I'm giving it credit for.
It's an
That's
illusion
just where
spell,
my
so normally
mind
they
went
do.
as far. But yeah, just having things set up around the world. If somebody walks by this point,
A shark
an
comes at
image
them.
or whatever, an image of you appears and says, "Hey, I'm playing a show at the Greasy Spoon Tavern."
Mhm.
Whatever, I don't know. But there are better things you could do than even that.
I mean, it has a 10-minute cooldown, which I think is a little bit of a bummer for that use case, which means you definitely should have your illusions last all full of the 5 minutes. So then the 10-minute cooldown will be like, they're up 5 minutes, down 10 minutes, up 5 minutes, down 10 minutes. And you can just have ads, basically, however you want them and wherever you want them.
The first thing that came to my mind was ads, but you can have like actual useful information, or warnings or something.
I definitely think on that particular front, this is an amazing DM tool, right? This is a really easy way to give your players access to the villain or access to assisting help from NPCs and whatnot without them being able to physically interact with that NPC, which is going to be important, especially in the case of villains, right? It's really easy for you to be like, program delusion of a villain monologuing, and they shoot an arrow and it goes right through, and they're like, this is BS. I wanted to kill this thing. Get the drop on him. And he just mocks them because it's a program delusion. They can do that, right? That is, I think, where a really good use case for program delusion is. Most of the time, program delusion to me is a tool in the DM's toolbox more than it is really in the player's toolbox, as again, major image is a 3rd level spell. It upcasts at 6th level to be indefinite, and it does a lot of what you would want program delusion to be able to do. The spontaneity or the spontaneous effect appearing, it's about as good as you having it set up and ready to go, and then it goes off whenever you're near it, right? Like, there isn't a huge gap in power there, at least not just by a 6th level slot, I don't think. But as a DM tool, as something that is definitely cute to have on the Bard, that can be a side grade to upcast major image, I think this is a perfectly reasonable thing to consider.
All right. What do we got next?
Next up
Your
on...
turn, right?
Yes, I believe so. My number 3 is Hero's Feast. And the reason it's my number 3 is because of its abuse cases, not because it's an actual good spell for the most part.
Is Hero's Feast a bard spell?
It's Bard optionally from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
I
Which
still haven't added the Tasha spells.
It's a pain in the butt, isn't it?
Well, no, it wouldn't be if I got responsible and updated my website. But I have not yet.
Oh, it's fine. This is, well, this should have always been a Bard spell. I don't think anyone can disagree with that.
Nope.
You're throwing a party. This is as bardic as it gets, right? Second, like, it's gonna often feel like, so for super rich parties that are rolling around in Scrooge McDuck money of like the DM just dropped a dragon sword on them and they kept playing, right? This is gonna feel like every long rest, just everyone has a bonus 2d10 hit points. Plus advantage on wisdom saving, or immunity to poisoned, being frightened, and advantage on all wisdom saving throws, right? That's just gonna become like a passive party buff that Hero's Feast can kind of produce for you all, and that's pretty great. But even outside that specific use case, being able to be like, we know we're going against the big bad, this is the climax, we Hero's Feast, we go. Really reasonable. Advantage on wisdom saving throws is baller. Immunity to frightened is pretty solid. Immunity to poison is pretty solid. It's generally speaking just a really cheap effect that doesn't really even feel like a 6th level spell slot to use because you're doing it as part of a long rest, right? So like, altogether, I think it's very reasonable.
I can definitely think of one of my picks that I would have swapped out for Hero's Feast. Oh. But yeah, I could lie and just say that, but I've already said I could lie, so
that's true.
Gone out the window now.
I want to guess your next one, the one that you think could have been cut.
All right, well, that's not my next one. I still have 2 left.
Okay, so we'll do your next one, and then I want to guess the one that you think should be replaced by Hero's Feast when we get there.
Actually, I think you should guess now, because if I do the next one, then
I'll know more often.
Yeah.
Is Guards and Wards the one that you were going to cut?
Yes.
Called it. Because the other 2 are awful. So.
Wait, awful? Well, I still have one that I wouldn't have cut.
Yeah, I know. I know what that one is too.
Right.
We figured it out. We're on the same page here.
Okay. Was it Eyebite?
No.
Oh, shucks.
Uh-oh.
Is that one of the awful ones?
Eyebite's
I know it's pretty bad, but I don't know. Eyebite, I figured it can do a couple things. Guards and Wards, that's like, unless you have a giant piece of property that you need to turn into a carnival, then yeah.
Guards and Wards definitely feels like a dungeon in the box.
Let's talk about Eyebite first, because that was my next pick.
Okay, Eyebite it is.
I gotta go back and look up what it does.
So I like this spell. I was higher on this spell when we reviewed it than I am now. I think I've come around to just, I don't think this spell is worth casting. And the reason I don't think it's worth casting is because it's not like the worst thing of human history, but it takes your concentration, it lasts a minute, and it gives you an at-will save or die that is either asleep, panicked, or sickened, and once a creature passes a save, I believe it's immune to it from there on out, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Once it turns, but that can't target that creature again if it succeeded on a saving throw, right? So, like, asleep is definitely the best one by a lot. Sickened is fine, but you much rather the target be unconscious than be getting disadvantage on all their stuff. And like Panicked is a fear effect that makes it run away. That's fine. But all of those effects can be gotten at a cheaper level, a cheaper cost, and a higher duration or more potent effect. Like Fear, for example, versus Panicked. Fear is a third level spell that panics a bunch of things. Eyebite does it to 1. And you can kind of do it to more if you're willing to spend actions, but are you willing to spend actions? I think the answer more often than not is going to be no.
No, this wasn't one of my favorite spells. This is something I picked because I liked the other options less.
That's fair. There are only 8 of them, so I can't really
Yeah.
fault you for that. I
Uh,
am proud that you didn't include one that I did include, but I hate the one I included, so.
yeah, I figured we might be talking about that one way or another. So
Yeah, we're talking about all 8 of them, it looks like.
looks like it. Yep. Um, yeah, I just thought, iBite does something at least, and sometimes when you get down to the bottom tier spells here, then that's all you can ask for.
That's true. I will definitely say this isn't a 1 out of 5. This spell does have text, and there will be some situations where like putting something to sleep, then putting a couple like 3 or 4 big things to sleep is going to be pretty solid. I just really want to be spending my actions doing cooler things than that. And I don't like if you're doing a really grindy game where you're like all of your spell slots matter a lot, then this becomes marginally better because it extends its utility over a fight and lets you spend 1 slot on the whole fight. I would much rather spend 4 slots on a fight though, because that's going to be way cooler and have probably a lot higher impact. But that's just my preference.
Yeah, I like the flavor too. Your eyes turn dark, and
What does that have to do with bards though?
bards want to have cool looking effects like that.
You could say that. I guess we did whenever we go to just say it's metal and it becomes bard. This definitely applies, right? If it looks metal, it can be bard. So
I don't really have any great arguments for having iBite on the list. It was one of my strugglers.
that's fair.
All right, so
Well,
what's
I mean, we already briefly dropped the hint of guards and wards. I called my shot.
let's go for
Let's
it.
keep it
It's
going.
yeah. Cards and wards. You said dungeon in a box. Yeah, that's we go back to the same thing we talked about before, where you this isn't a game where you're defending a place as often as you're going out and causing trouble somewhere else.
Yeah.
But in this case, you find it's even worse than other similar effects because these effects aren't amazing. A gust of wind or a stinking cloud, yippee skippy. This is level 6 spell.
There are a lot of them, right? Like you get a sinking cloud and a gust of wind and a suggestion and a magic mouth and a dancing lights and a web and several arcane locks. But like all that together still doesn't really equal a 6th level spell slot to me,
Well, no,
Where
because
it's like,
I mean, if you needed all of these
yeah.
effects at the same time, this is amazing. But
And then you're like, this is
that's
all in one convenient package. Wow. This feels like a Billy Mays commercial, right? Where it's like, I stopped needing what you're offering me like 4 items ago, but wait, there's more, is what this really feels like to me. But I still don't want to spend 4 payments of $29.99 for this, Which is what a 6th level slot feels like.
yeah. I don't think I don't know. I guess see
This is on your top 5.
I know, but because my bottom one was that much worse, and then the one that didn't make my list at all, 2 if you include Heroes Feast, but that was an error on my part. Yeah, I didn't pick True Seeing. I guess made your lists.
It did make my list. It is of my top 5 bard spells, and I really hate it.
Yeah, that should have been above Guards and Wards, but this like Guards and Wards just feels like fun if you can use it, but like not effective fun.
Yeah, so I think this is a great point to highlight. Specifically as a bard spell, I think this is where it fails the most. And it's what we said earlier about only having 15 known spells, right? Having one of them be something that is this specific. We're defending this castle, and I'm putting these down on the corridors, and we're doing the guards and wards thing with the glyphs of warding. Then not having it on your sheet ever for use ever again is just awful, right?
Yeah, like glyphs of warning. Okay, that will defend the castle. guards and wards will just annoy people that are, storming your castle unhindered.
Fog fills warded corridors. They have a 50% chance. I think they're going the wrong way.
Oh,
I don't know. It's honestly, I'm not gonna level with you too. As a DM, DMing for this is either a major headache or you opt to ignore most of the text just because, like, I'm not tracking where these monsters are in the dungeon. Are you kidding me? I'm just having them appear whenever it's, like, most thematically relevant, right? They're going to appear to challenge the players in their keep to show off their defenses predominantly, but I'm not like, all right, well, now I'm going to check to see if the orcs get turned around here every single round as this is going on. I'm going to make sure, oh, they passed this door and they didn't notice this, and these are the perception checks on these 12 different invaders. No, I'm not running any of that. I'm just saying, like, we'll have a scene for each where it goes, oh, they pass over it. You can look at your spell doing cool things, but, like, it's largely just mostly fluff.
all right. Well, that was guards and wards. No, that was yes.
Yep, that was Guards and Wards. That's all 5 of yours, right?
Yeah, mine are done. You've got True Seeing to
That's
talk
my last
about.
one. I can't deny True Seeing it solves a lot of problems. And by solving a lot of problems, I can't fault it for being good. Like, there'll be times where you'll be like, True Seeing just beats this encounter. And that's the mark of typically a good spell. It just does it in one of the least interesting ways I can conceive of. It does it in such a boring blanket statement way that I don't want to be playing in games where it's an easy access tool that solves all of what I find to be deeply interesting and fun problems. I think illusions are a really cool element of the game. And while they can be challenging for some DMs to run, challenging for some players to use, challenging for, a bunch of different reasons, I think they can add some of the most interesting and dynamic moments to games. Them being turned off by this is a gigantic bummer to me. And invisibility, when handled well, can be a really fun encounter, specifically as you have the invisible man encounter, right? Where everyone's like, we don't know where it is, and we need to find ways to hit it. And you improvise things like throwing sand and smoke, and you improvise ways to get around the illusion text when it's a monster, which I would always argue should be handled differently than players using it, because they are foundationally different axes of the game, right? True Seeing is still just a blanket answer to say, oh no, I solved the problem. True Seeing's on. And it doesn't like kill the monster or anything, but now there's very little other counterplay to these potentially fun dynamic experiences. And that's where I find, while the spell is good, I really don't want it at the table. I don't want to be playing with it. I don't really enjoy players having it all that much, and I also don't love the experience of, well, whoever has True Seeing just is the de facto just doing this encounter by themselves is often what it'll feel like. We'll be like, okay, you need to track where the thing is and just always be telling us. That doesn't feel like a really rewarding experience to me as for those kinds of encounters that the True Seeing beats. And for that reason, it made my top 5, but I really don't like it. I do get that's personal preference. I know there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I love True Seeing. It's such a cool mechanic. I can see everything. I hate it. I think it's really stupid.
Yeah, I think it didn't make my list because you soured me on it.
Great. I did my job well then. Less people will be
Sure.
playing with True Sight.
All right, that was your last one.
Yes. My list is Auto's Irresistible Dance, Mass Suggestion. What was my third one? I'm blanking on it.
Hero's Feast.
Hero's Feast. Thank you. True Seeing and Programmed Illusion.
Mine was Irresistible Dance, Mass Suggestion, Programmed Illusion, I Bite, and Guards and Wards. Not super confident on those last two.
Well, listen, none of those made my worst, so that's great news.
No, I don't think there was any question of what
Yeah.
our worst was going to be. You want to do the honors?
Find the Path is a map. It's a map that doesn't tell you where hazards are. So that's great for a 6th level spell. Yeah, Guards or Find the Path is horrific. It's terrible. There are a few spells in this game as bad as Find the Path.
Yeah, I mean, who is this for? If I am going to go to visit somebody in a different state, all right, I definitely want to put my GPS on the phone. I want the shortest way to get there. However,
well, okay, hold on. You want the shortest way to get there that doesn't go through a crevasse. You want the shortest way to get there that doesn't involve going into an active volcano.
Yeah.
This doesn't do that. This takes you through the crevasse. It takes you through the active volcano. This is worse than Google Maps.
But I'm just saying, even with all that, I mean, you will see an active volcano before you walk into it, probably.
That's true.
Yeah, you go around it, fine. But when I am a character in a role-playing game, I don't care if I spend 30 extra minutes walking around the woods.
Yep.
We gloss over that anyway.
Yep.
That's I mean, unless there's a very, very time sensitive thing, when there's not ever, like not that sensitive.
Or if there is, we're in a tier of play where like Circle of Teleportation is on the table.
Yeah.
That just gets you there instantly, right? There's way better solutions to this kind of long distance travel at this tier than traveling mundanely.
It's true too.
I think the biggest offender, right, is that, survival checks just exist. Expertise exists in survival. There are mundane ways to find safe routes. People have been doing it since they started hex crawling. And this is like only in the hex crawl tables and isn't even useful at the hex crawl tables because you don't like, if there is a large obstacle that you have to go around, you have to figure out how to plot around the obstacle still. And that may be just avoided in the first place by making some survival checks. This spell has no business existing. It's terrible.
Oh man. Is every spell with find? No, we got find familiar. I was thinking find traps, find the path.
Find familiars are really busted.
Yeah.
1s and 5s on the find spells. Only those two.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's that, huh?
Yeah. I will quickly mention, so again, magical secrets is important. I would say disintegrate if you want to kill things and kill them dead. Disintegrate's hilarious, and a part with disintegrate's just like you shred so hard their face melts off. Delicious. Love it. Beyond disintegrate, anything that says summon in it's going to be great. I think summon celestial is 6th level, I think. And then it gets 3 attacks. That's really baller. So anything with 3 attacks is typically pretty excellent. And I'll also mention Blade Barrier. Blade Barrier is a super fun build around that you can do some cool bard stuff with. So that's another option. Basically, any of the big powerful, if we talked about it in other 6th level videos, it probably could be a great magical secret that you should consider as a bard.
All right. Well, that was 6th level bard spells. Go back and look at our cantrips through 5th level bard spells and stay in tune for the future where we will have levels 7, 8, and 9 bard spells and other spells and other videos on other things.
Wow.
There's so much on this channel.
It's an endless well of content that is enjoyable from start to back.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, do all the fun stuff, like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.